any of our experts would be happy, or myself would be happy to answer any questions that you might have. So, una pregunta primero. Mira, el doctor Fielding anunció en inglés que en este momento no hay nada, no deberías de tener nada de preocupación por esa radiación nuclear. No está llegando aquí a niveles. Cuando haces un radio X aquí en tus dientes, estás recibiendo más radiación que está llegando en estos momentos. Él está encargado de proteger el salud público y eso es su evaluación y su análisis. Well, none of us here have any responsibility for the nuclear power plant. The closest nuclear power plant is in San Onofre, about 100 miles away from Los Angeles. That plant is the responsibility of the federal government, and so I can't comment on that.
Well, we don't know that their buildings have been devastated. They do have some of the strongest building codes in the world, and it does appear that the majority of the damage actually came from the tsunami rather than the earthquake. We don't know yet how extensive it is. Some of the things that I think are very important, one is that they use the same process we do to estimate what sort of risk we could face, and we need to reevaluate that and look. We're going to be taking a good look at what we think we know about the risk in the region. A second thing is they have a nowcasting or early warning system that actually worked. They got warnings of 30 seconds in Tokyo. Even some of the very closest regions had a warning that the earthquake was coming before the strong shaking arrived. We are working to prototype such a system in California, but we need to look at how well it worked, what they did with it, and what it would be needed for us to implement a similar system.
I'll let Dr. Fielding, the expert on that, speak to that.
Well, we do know that things have gotten worse. We have some concerns about whether we had accurate information, but what we do have is we have readings, real-time readings from very different parts of Japan, so we get a sense of the amount of radiation being escaping, and that is of concern both from the spent fuel rods and from the reactors that to some degree may have been breached. At this point, again, the plume modeling and all the analysis has been done do not suggest that under any circumstances we would have a harmful level of radiation here. We're 5,000 miles away. There's a lot of time for that to disperse. Would there be an increase and may there now be an increase beyond background? Certainly that's possible, but the margin of error between that, the margin of safety is absolutely huge. If that situation changes, we'd certainly let the public and the media know immediately, but we do not see anything today that suggests that there's going to be harmful levels of radiation in Southern California, even understanding that it's a serious situation.
You know, in that vein, I can tell you the one thing we all agree in, and we spoke to in our briefing earlier today, is the importance for transparency, for direct and straight communication on a real-time basis, and we're all absolutely committed to that. And again, I'm very proud of the way that we work all so seamlessly, because that's just not true in every jurisdiction. And we're very lucky that we do that, and we have the great level of professionalism from our first responders and other responsible entities in an event like this. Did you have a question?
Yes. Despite multiple efforts and so many statements to calm fears, there's this report through a UN diplomat who has access to the radiation levels who makes the statement to the AP that there are levels coming to California. It again stirs questions, and I know you've answered this many times, but many people are saying they don't trust the government to tell them.
Well, I trust the individuals standing alongside of me. That's why I invited them to this briefing. They're preeminent experts in their field. They have a lot of experience with responding to disasters, and they have a record of transparency and straight communication that I think has been born over time. Many of you have been to some of those emergencies and disasters and have gotten straight communication from them in a real-time basis.
Maybe the question isn't trust, it's that what we know today may change, and Dr. Taylor touched on it briefly, is that you may say a week from now, well, you know, those numbers we thought were safe a week ago, we now have new information. So I think that's the...
You never... Well, you never want to say never, but let me be very clear. All the scenarios that have been looked at, we do not believe that there is a chance that there would be a significant chance of harmful radiation coming to Southern California. Could there be higher levels than background? Sure, and that would not be surprising if that in fact came. But that is, we're talking, again, a very, very low level compared to the level that would cause human harm. So if we learn anything different, we would tell you, but all the efforts to look at worst case scenario have not generated a scenario that would lead to an elevated. Again, we're relying on on a number of organizations that have special expertise in this, national laboratories, international groups, and the like. That's different than saying, could there be an increase beyond background? That wouldn't be surprising at all, but it would not be in a range of concern. And you know, we all live here too. All the people around this podium. We're trying to make sure that we protect our loved ones, our family, our close friends, our community, just as much as anybody else. We have to be transparent.
I just need a clear statement. Worst case scenario, what would we see?
All the scenarios that I have seen result in levels of radiation that are not harmful to human health in Southern California.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, one of the things that we heard, we have a lot of buildings that are older that haven't been reinforced, and that you know, could and would be a problem in a large earthquake. That's one of the reasons why we update our building standards. I think every 3 years. The last time we did it was in January, but even with that, I'm asking Building and Safety to make another review, and we're going to look at beefing up where necessary our building codes to make sure that we can do everything we can to reduce that possibility. Yes? Well, I mean, they were built a long time ago, and the way most cities address their building code changes and modifications, they usually do it. They did it first time in 1933 with the Long Beach quake. Well, they have to be retrofitted, but not necessarily. They have to be retrofitted when a change occurs, usually, is how it works. And so if there's no changes in ownership or some other change, then they don't necessarily have to retrofit.
I just wanted to ask quickly about the city's financial situation. The financial status report came out today.
Yeah.
The deficit for the current fiscal year has dipped to something like 35 million.
Good news.
The city administrator
Still a deficit. And so let me
CAO is now saying, look, we have to stop police hiring.
Well, he said, Frank, I love you. I actually got to read that FSR, and I can tell you there were many things he talked about. That was, when you look at the savings, probably the least important thing that he had to say. Let's be clear. It's still a $33 million deficit in the current year. It's got to be resolved. I'm asking the council to make the decisions to resolve that deficit, to balance the budget going into next year when we're looking at another $350 million deficit. Look, well, the way is very clear. We're going to have to cut the size of government. Our labor partners are going to have to share in the responsibility of making the kinds of concessions that will avoid even larger cuts in services. Layoffs and more furloughs are going to be an option if we can't get those concessions. I know that they're talking as we speak, and my hope is that they will understand how serious I am about balancing this budget. Not for me. Any other questions? Thank you very much. I'll have a last question for you because
Usually, all the time, government preparing emergency situation, but what is quite different after Japan's earthquake? I know radiation issue is very important, but in here, earthquake issue is usually more, priority issue, right? So could you explain that?
not
Yeah.
sure.
What is your after earthquake held in Japan? What is big change?
Well, yeah, what's different? Well, I think that's a good question. I think what a catastrophe, in this case, an earthquake and a tsunami of this magnitude does, or it should do, it makes you ask the question, what are we doing? Are we doing enough? What do we have to do in case of, a major disaster of this proportion? Are disasters or earthquakes of this proportion likely in the city? How would we prepare for it? Is this a teachable moment in terms of really trying to raise the level of education and consciousness among the public to play their part in preparing for an emergency? So those are all the things that I think responsible government should be doing. You heard Chief Osby say, and I think Chief Peaks as well, that when that USAR team, the LA County USAR, Urban Search and Rescue team, comes back, we're going to have a lot of questions to ask them. What are the lessons learned? So this is really an opportunity for all of us to do that. I also want to acknowledge Chief Moore, who's here with us today with the Los Angeles Police Department. I think you know that the LAPD and the Sheriff Department are here as well, and I want to acknowledge them and thank them. Both departments are the best, not just in the West, but the best in the country, and work very closely in these situations. In an earthquake kind of a situation, usually the lead would be the fire department, unless there were some other public safety issue coming up, and that could change. But if there was something else, I don't want to say what, but so I want to thank them for being here as well. Thank you all very much.